Back to the Chicago election. Progressive Brandon Johnson has just been elected as Chicago's next mayor, replacing Lori Lightfoot. May 15th, he takes office. Jason Rantz is here. All right, Jason, have at it. What do you think this means for the future of Chicago now that a progressive, an uber progressive, is back in power?
So at the best case scenario would be that nothing changes, which is obviously a negative because you've seen a rise in crime. You've seen the crisis in the schools. Worst case is it gets worse, right? I mean, this is someone who is further to the left than Lori Lightfoot. And I was thinking a lot about the results yesterday because it's not like it's a Republican versus a Democrat. This was a moderate Democrat versus a progressive Democrat. Two things occurred here. Either, number one, the folks just want someone who's further to the left of Lori Lightfoot. We always had this assumption that they saw what was going on under Lori Lightfoot and said, oh, we can't do this. Well, maybe they just didn't think she went far enough. Or number two, there's a possibility, and I think that this is a significant issue, that the local media just doesn't connect the dots as to what's going on and why. A lot of times, especially when covering crime stories, you get this here's what happened, here's what's next, and that's it. They don't connect dots. They don't tell you why it's happening. They don't tell you what policies are responsible, and they don't tell you what the plan is, nor do they put pressure on these local politicians that they have to cover so they can't push too hard or they lose access. And I think that's a problem.
There are 55 schools in Chicago, 55 schools where not a single student is proficient in math or reading. 55 schools, not a single one. What does it tell you about the parents who voted for more of the same or even worse to come?
It tells me that they're not connected to the issue in the way that you and I might be and people who watch this show, where we can easily point to the reasons behind everything that's going on. I think most folks don't want to demonize teachers via the teachers' unions, even when the unions are hurting their own kids. Because look, you send your kids to these schools 5 days a week, hours at a time. You don't want to think that they don't have their best interests in mind. And I think there's just this reluctance to put any pressure on teachers to do better and administrators to do better. This is an institutional issue.
It's a lost generation of kids in Chicago. That's my opinion. Okay.
Yeah,
Jason, Glenn Kessler is the fact checker at the Washington Post. Now, he was fact checked by Twitter twice after he said Republicans claim that Soros funded Manhattan's DA, Alvin Bragg, was false. Jason, moments ago on this program, we learned that George Soros indirectly contributed $1 million to Alvin Bragg. What do you make of that?
Yeah, he gave the money to a PAC specifically to help Alvin Bragg. Now, they'll point out that if you say anything about George Soros because he happens to be Jewish, that it's anti-Semitic and it plays into all of these stereotypes. I'm a Jew. I'm proud to say that this has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. And the people who use that smear to go after people, it's actually, I would argue, what's anti-Semitic. Because you're arguing that Jews can't handle any kind of criticism merely because we happen to be Jewish. At the end of the day, this kind of smear is used, I think, in a transparent way. They want to distance Alvin Bragg from George Soros because they know the damage that George Soros and that reputation can bring to Alvin Bragg. And you've got a lot of media members, unfortunately, cheering this on. And even at the same time, as you played the clip, everyone's saying, this is kind of underwhelming. They're still going to cheer it on. And that's the sad part. It's the dishonest part about the media.
Jason Rantz, good stuff. See you again real soon, please. Thank you very much, Jason. All right.